O ye who believe, drugs and gambling and idols and divining arrows are only an abomination and an example of Satan's handiwork. So shun each one of them, that you may prosper. The Holy Quran, chapter 5, verse 91.
Ladies and gentlemen, I ask you, and the Holy Quran asks you, are the people you are about to see prospering? Are they happy and content with their lives? Are they at peace with themselves and their loved ones?
Today, there is not a city, town, or village in North America that does not have some kind of drug problem. The caring parent who detects or even suspects drug use enters a world of depressing and disturbing situations. Addiction, promiscuity, crime, violence, and serious emotional difficulties tend to occur together. The main factor causing these problems is drug and alcohol use. Drug and alcohol use impacts families, communities, the education and judicial systems, as well as being a multi-billion-dollar economic burden. The Holy Quran discusses this subject in the following verse.
They ask thee concerning intoxicants and gambling. Say, in both there is great sin and harm, and some advantages for men. But their sin and harm are greater than their advantage. And they ask thee what they should spend. Say, spend what you can spare. Thus does Allah make His commandments clear that you may reflect. Chapter 2, verse 220. The cost of drug and alcohol use is $31 billion. That's $1,000 wasted for every Canadian per year. A staggering figure that we have hidden within our federal, provincial, and municipal budgets. It is the cost that we have accepted without much protest as normal government business. However, God's attitude is different. He expects society, especially those in authority over us, to spend this money on the poor and disadvantaged instead of the consequences of drug and alcohol use. Imagine how much better off you and your family would be if each member had an extra $1,000 to spend each year. The history of drug and alcohol use can be traced back over 6,000 years. For example, marijuana, opium, and alcohol were used in China from that time. The hypodermic syringe, invented in 1850, delivered medication swiftly to patients in severe pain. This invention led to the abuse of opium. And by the turn of the century, opiates were commonly used for toothaches, headaches, and other pain, and this trend continues. The prohibition of alcohol in the 1930s was unsuccessful, even though people drank less. After prohibition ended, people resumed their old drinking patterns. This proved that the government could not change society's attachment to alcohol by making it illegal. A better approach was needed. The start of the drug culture began in the early 1950s, when prescription drugs were heavily promoted to alleviate pain. However, this culture changed in the 1960s, when recreational drug use started. Teenagers were told to do your own thing. This focused on promiscuity, drugs, and the rebellion against all authority. The talk was of love, but the hate was widespread. In 1971, the drinking age was lowered from 21 to 18, tripling the highway deaths among 16 to 20-year-olds. In 1995, the downward trend in drug use by students came to an abrupt halt. This change can be directly traced to the early 80s, when egocentric parents, who were heavily influenced by the drug culture of the 70s, placed their own needs above those of their children's. In 2000, crystal meth and ecstasy appeared in America and have now spread to several Canadian cities, including Toronto. Drug abuse education in our schools gives us the wrong message. It demonstrates what a drug looks like and how to take it. This drug education seems to promote drug use rather than stop it. People are paid to promote the use of clean needles, and there are places drug addicts can go to get their supplies for free. Today we have people of all cultural backgrounds, all religions, no religion, male and female, young and old, learned and educated, criminal and non-criminal, all abusing themselves with drugs and alcohol.
Several personality characteristics are common amongst drug users, and the most visible is low self-esteem. They simply don't like themselves. Common excuses used by drug users are, I want to get out of my head, and I don't like being alone because I don't like the company. This implies that they want to escape from their deep sense of worthlessness.